Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexalex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So we're doing the viewer special today on Sunday. Normally I do this series every Monday, but tomorrow is actually going to be the release of a new selection pack. I'm already working on my UR crafting guide for this pack, just waiting for the rest of the URs to be announced. Definitely going to be working on some combo guides and gameplay for Ryzeal as well, so definitely look forward to all that this week. But again, with that coming out tomorrow, I wanted to do the viewer special today just to make sure that we got it out, and that way, you know, we're not looking at games from before the pack releases tomorrow, and you know, we're not disrupting the flow of the new pack release. But anyway, viewer special, for those of you who are not familiar with the series, this is a weekly series we do typically on Mondays, where I show off games from you all, the viewers. If you're interested in submitting a game, then you're going to want to head over to our Discord server. Link is going to be in the description below. There, under the Master Duel section, is a channel called Viewer Special Submissions. You can drop your 9-digit player ID there, and that way I can view your publicly saved replays and feature one of them. Please do make sure this number is entered correctly and that your replays are set to public. But yeah, that's enough of an opening spiel from me, so why don't we go ahead and get right on into it and start looking at some of your duels. Okay, our first game comes to us from Zonai. Zonai's actually got a game from the new event, the latest tryout duel, which, for those who aren't aware, is actually the unlimited event, where every single card in the game, from my understanding, is at 3. It's not just like, you know, regular traditional format where all the banned cards are at 1. I think everything is actually just at 3. So I think it's pretty naturally safe to assume that Tearlaments is going to be really, really good in this meta. We're definitely going to be taking advantage of that with some full power Tearlaments. Now, obviously, you know, there are some other banned cards that could be in here, but I also completely understand not wanting to craft URs just for this 3-day event. That's honestly been a lot of my reason why I don't participate in a lot of these like alternate format tryout duels. Isn't because I don't like the idea of it. I just don't want to craft URs for an event that's going to last 3 days. But we got our Merleys, we got our Havnesses, we still got our Shirens here. So along with, oh god, the 3 Mudora, 3 Yugioh. Ugh, the Ishizu stuff at 3. So brutal, so brutal. I think our opponent looks like just Centurion. Yeah, just looks like their standard ladder Centurion deck. Again, I think I don't blame people for not wanting to go out of the way to craft new URs for this event. I think a lot of people just brought their ladder decks, which is understandable for sure. The Centurion deck's playing a lot of floodgates here, isn't it? Synchro Zone. All right, let's go ahead and get on into this. All right. Yeah, if we had like 3 graceful charities and 3 painful choices, obviously this deck would be a lot more powerful. But again, I completely understand not wanting to spend 60 UR craft points for a 3-day event. Alright, so we're taking the first turn here. Going to begin with the Shiren. Looks like our opponent, though, has an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Excuse me. Now, thankfully, we do have Tear Cash in this hand, but we're not going to use it. We're actually just going to pass right over to our opponent. Looks like we're opting instead to lean into the Fuelos here. Of course, it is a little bit more than just Fuelos. It's not going to be too difficult, I think, for us to be able to play on our opponent's turn, just depending on what kind of cards we get here. Oh, Tear Cash is a quick effect. That's right. We can also just do it during the opponent's turn. Okay, I like this then. I like saving the Tear Cash and not doing it on our turn in this case because we have the Fuelos. Opponent's got a second Ash Blossom for this Fuelos, but our Tear Cash is going to go through, and so will the Mills here. Banishing one of the Shirens in hand. We also get to summon Yugioh here, because the card was sent from our opponent's hand to the graveyard, because they used Ash Blossom. There's Havness off the Tear Cash, as well as Crime to add back that banished Shiren, which is pretty convenient. And another Tear Cash to mill a couple more cards, so we're already very well off to the races here. Hitting Destrudo, another Fuelos. Crime's going to add back Shiren. And then Havness will fuse itself and the Tear Cash in the yard, I'm assuming for Kikolos here. Yep. Definitely makes sense. Kikolos could mill the Rhino Heart here. Rhino Heart's going to summon itself by sending the Shiren. So proc both the Shiren and the Rhino Heart, meaning we get 2 more fusion summons. It's really easy to forget about Merle since it's so, you know, I'm at least so used to it being banned, but yeah, no, we actually just get to go for 2 more fusions here. So we can not only make this Kaleido Heart, but we can also go for Merle F, and we can make a Roll Close here as well, which is actually just insane to be able to do both. It's so easy to forget that, like, this is what 3 fusers versus 2 fusers lets you do. Okay, it's gonna be Dragos Tepelia, but still. Excuse me, sorry about that. But, yeah, it's really easy to forget, like, the banning of Merle, obviously, Merle was the fuser in particular that was banned because of its interactions with Sprint and Elf, particularly, how easy it was to, you know, dump and then revive with those. But it's really, again, important to acknowledge just how much of a difference having that third fuser makes. Not only does it make setting up your plays just that much more consistent in general, but, again, it lets you set up multiple forms of fusion summons that can disrupt, like some combination of Collide of Heart, Dragos Tepelia, Roll Close, etc. So, and that was just a small sampling. Again, imagine if we were on like Painful Choices, Graceful Charities, all that kind of fun stuff. Definitely a force to be reckoned with. Thank you very much for showing that off, Zone. I super appreciate that. We, of course, still have a couple more to get into. Let's go into our next duel. All right, this one comes to us from Rainmaker. Rainmaker has a game where they are playing Azamina White Forest, with the Fiendsmith, of course, as well. This is a deck that I keep meaning to come back to. I always have a couple of decks like this every single season where I like the deck and I want to play it more, but there's just so many decks that I just don't end up like getting to it, and White Forest has been that deck for me. I really meant to try this deck out a little bit more in this format we were just in, the Maliss format. Because this deck plays pretty well with Lancia, right? Lancia can be dead against a lot of decks that aren't Maliss, and even then a lot of situations, because it can only be used on your opponent's turn. But with White Forest, you can at the very least set Lancia and then send it to activate, you know, a lot of their effects. So it does have that upside here, and yeah, that was one of the kind of appeals. But we're about to go into a format with Ryzeal, and I think Lancia is going to see a lot less play. So that said, White Forest, of course, still has a lot going for it, and I do still want to come back to it at some point soon. Alright, and speaking of Maliss, that is going to be what our opponent is playing. Yeah, looks like they're just on relatively standard Maliss build with a Speed Ward package. Only 2 Maliss and Undergrounds, maybe they only had enough URs for 2, but going second, let's go ahead and check this out. Because I will say that going second is like, I don't know. One of the reasons I do prefer to go to other decks over this one is because I feel like this one might not play as well going second, but yeah, we do have a pretty good going second hand here, actually. We got Ash Blossom, we have Imperm, we have Triple Tack during our turn, and we have Engraver to start plays going, and Cross Out to insulate them. Looks like our opponent's actually beginning with the Speedoid package for Cherubney. Cherubney's going to get to dump the Dormouse here. Then after normal summoning Joel and Lockbird, they're going to go for a Haggard Lizardos. So this is a lot of the appeal of the Speedroid Terratop package, right? It's like a 2-card, 1.5 card starter, you could almost call it, because like you do need a monster to normal summon, but it can be literally any monster, even a hand trap. So it's like, I'd almost want to call that, even though I really don't like this term, a 1.75 card combo, because it's like a 1.5 card combo, it doesn't really matter what the other card is, right? Usually because it's just discarded or something. It can be literally any card, but for this, again, it does matter that it's a monster you can normal summon, but that's still really broad, so that's why I say 1.75. Joking. Alright, anyway. Yeah, our opponent was pretty much, I think, always able to just find plays with a hand like this. Did they set the GWC from hand? I think they did. They did, yeah. Yeah, so they just had it. Okay. Alright, White Binder coming down. Banishing our Ash Blossom. And, oh, they must have just activated it. Link Decoder comes back. White Binder F, gonna set the GWC from the graveyard. Now they're flipping over the MTP that was set, banishing the White Binder in order to add March Hare. Although this means that they won't have access to MTP during our turn, which is pretty good for us. Is this Terahertz then? Yep, looks like it is. Terahertz. I think our opponent could have played this hand a little bit better. This wasn't played horribly, but it could have been played better, I think. Drawing another Ash Blossom is actually not horrible here. Alright, we're gonna go for Engraver, getting the Tract here. Tract F in order to add the Fabled Lurry. Fabled Lurry gonna then get discarded. Fabled Lurry F, of course, to summon itself. Opponent's gonna chain Max C, but thankfully we've got that Ash Blossom. We do have the cross out as well, even if we didn't top deck Ash Blossom there. Ooh, but they have a cross out for the Ash Blossom. We can just cross out the Max C. Oh, but they have the D-Save Worm! Although this does clear the way for our triple attack here. And our opponent being on Maliss is only at 5,600. Of course, the GWC, if it summons the White Binder, will gain them some life points back. But we should have a Cyber Sponsor. Actually, do we have a Cyber Sponsor to send? We should have IP, right? Does this deck play IP? Yeah, we have IP. That's what I thought. Okay. So we can send a Cyber Sponsor for Terahertz. It's good to know. Okay. Alright, continue on with our Fabled plays here. Yeah, really no choice but to play into the Max C in a situation like this. I think we just have to go for it. I actually really commend you, Rainmaker, for not triple attacking right off the bat. I think a lot of players, myself included, I would have been very tempted to use the triple attack on the Terahertz sooner rather than later. But excuse me, sorry if the coughs in this episode, by the way. But by waiting, we can not only get them to use their Terahertz effect to give it more of a boost, but also then we can bait out some responses with our Fiendsmith engine like we got here. So this is why I also wanted to point out earlier that our opponent had banished the MTP / used it on their last turn, right? Because this makes the GWC so much less threatening here. Like, yeah, they can summon out a bunch of bodies, but you know, they're not going to be able to banish our monster this turn. Yeah, TB11 doesn't do anything in this situation. I mean, obviously it does things. It summons stuff from deck, but doesn't do anything as far as, like, being able to stop what we have here. Oh, wait, no, hang on. They can go for Heart Scripter. And then they can use Heart Scripter, or can they not? Quick effect, you can target one of your banished Maliss cards, shuffle into the deck. Huh. Oh, it's negated. Well, because it's the battle phase. Now it's negated. Oh, did they not realize that? I wonder if our opponent just didn't, like, totally forgot. Well, no, they didn't even try to activate it. It's a little bit odd, but we'll definitely take it either way. I mean, either way, like I said, I think that triple attack was very well played. And I think in this situation, we did use our disruptions pretty well. And at the end of the day, like, we just had to play into Max C there, but yeah, still able to come out on top. Wow, going second against Maliss, playing into their Max C and still taking the dub even through all those negates was pretty solid. Thank you very much for that game, Rainmaker. We have time for one more, so let's go ahead and finish off with this last one here. Okay, for our last game from Cinnamon, aka Spicy over on the Discord server, we're going to be taking a look at a game with Goblin Biker. Ooh, 50 card Goblin Biker at that. Despite being 50 cards, we are a pure Goblin Biker deck. It looks like the deck has been bolstered to include a lot of hand traps, as well as some additional extenders / shutters like the Zayamine, E-Telly, the Psychic stuff, and all that kind of fun stuff. Very, very cool build. I love to see builds like this. I like builds that kind of push the envelope on ratios. Like, a lot of people see 50 cards and be like, oh, why would a deck ever be like 50 cards? But really, I mean, deck size is important, but ratio, I think, is the most important. And as long as your, like, starter, extender, and hand trap ratios are all solid, you should, in theory, be good. So I think builds like this are very, very solid. Looks like our opponent is going to be on a big Cyber deck as well. We actually, in the last viewer special, saw a deck extremely similar to this. This whole kind of Code Talker 60-card Maliss U-Lock. So let's see how we can do with pure Goblin Biker going second against a deck like this. And I think things might be a bit more of an uphill battle for us even than usual in this kind of scenario because, yep, sure enough, we don't open any hand traps. I read that in the little blurb. I was like, really? No hand traps against 60-card Cyber pile? Let's see how this plays out. So they lead with normal summon Firewall Defensor and then Signet Mining for the microcoder, linking those two off. in order to summon the Code Talker. This will trigger both the Microcoder and the Firewall Defensor. Firewall Defensor, of course, is going to summon out the Firewall Guardian. I think our opponent should have chain blocked the Firewall Defensor, done it the other way around, but they might also be reasonably sure that we don't have Ash Blossom after they resolve Signet Mining. Activating Signet Codec and then going for Link Decoder. Firewall Guardian F gets to activate to revive itself here. Now, Code Talker plus Link Decoder are going to link into, looks like Transcode. Yep, Transcode Talker. This will revive Link Decoder as well as proc Signet Codec. And then, of course, we get to use Transcode Talker's effect here in a second to revive a body as well. Link Decoder is summoned. Signet Codec is going to add Gachiri ad Ignister because an Earth Code Talker was summoned. And then Transcode Talker revives Code Talker Original. Now, Code Talker plus Link Decoder are going to link off into Splash Mage. And then Splash Mage F is going to be used on Firewall Defensor. And now they're overlaying Defensor plus Guardian. Is this for Alambertian? It is for Prime Ethnic Alambertian. I thought I saw a little Mathmech package in there too. Looks like our opponent's just playing every Cyber Stack in one pile, which is cool. I love pile decks. Love to see it. Circular gonna send off the Diameter. Alambertian sending itself for the Diameter. Circular F gets to proc now in order to add to the Super Factorial. And then now that we're gonna link off the Splash Mage and Circular in order to summon Heat Soul. Heat Soul. So they still need one more Mathmech monster in the graveyard for Super Factorial to be live. I wonder if they are going to try to dump it with Terahertz or if they have another way of getting it into the graveyard. Heat Soul draws, Signet Codec adds Code of Soul here. This Fire Code Talker. Ah, they had Addition in their hand. Okay, there it is. Summoning out that Mathmech Edition as well as the Code of Soul from hand. They're then going to link off into Firewall Dragon, the original. Now, Diameter plus Code of Soul are going to make Code Talker inverted. Oh, because the arrows are pointing the other way. I get it. I never thought about that. It's because the Code Talker's arrows point up and down. So Code Talker inverted points left and right. That's cool. Ooh, adding Lady Debug off that light summon. And then Firewall Dragon needing to pull out the Gachiri ad Ignister from hand. As well as an extra summon, I think that was for the Lady Debug. You better we just didn't normal summon yet. One of the two. No, because we normal summoned Firewall Defensor, right? Oh, I think that was actually Firewall Dragon's special summon. Gachiri ad Ignister is going to make the Terahertz unaffected until the end of our turn. Now here comes our opponent's Maliss stuff. Banishing Chessy Cat for March Hare. Chessy Cat to summon. Now Code Talker inverted plus March Hare are going to end up making the Red Ransom. As we're now pivoting into the Maliss side of the engine here. Red Ransom grabbing Maliss in the mirror, which Chessy Cat can then banish. Oh no, they're banishing the Dormouse. I see. Much better, of course, than banishing the mouse in the mirror here. Dormouse F gets to banish the White Rabbit. White Rabbit gets to set the MTP. Oh, this is good. We're gonna play through this? Really? Wow. Okay, here's the GWC as well. Red Ransom plus March Hare now linking off in order to make the Access Code Talker. I don't think we've summoned a Dark. Yep, so we can search a Dark Cyber Monster for Signet Codec here. Yeah, the Cybers combo decks are so crazy when they pop off. It's really easy to see a combo line like this go off uninterrupted and be like, ah, Cyber decks are such a problem. They need to ban Splash Mage. I was gonna say and Link Decoder, but Link Decoder being banned actually would not be a horrible idea. It's not a bad idea at all. But I've seen people call for Splash Mage ban. I think that's unnecessary, but it's easy to understand why people would want that. Here's Maxi, right on time, Maxi. Would have loved to have seen you last turn, but actually it's fine to still see it here because our opponent is going to be doing a fair bit of summoning during our turn. Looks like we're going to go Called By on the D-Save verb to either banish or force it. Looks like our opponent let it just get banished here. Beginning with special summoning Speedroid Terratop, our opponent's going to go for Maliss in the Mirror. We've got our Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, which we can chain. I thought we were on Memento for a second when I saw that here, but then I remembered, oh yeah, this card is actually played for its own deck too. Getting to summon the Goblin Biker's Gone Wild. And for what it's worth, which isn't a lot, Terratop can add Toktom Borg. Although I guess if we can, in theory, summon Terratop again, we could special Toktom Borg, but I don't see that happening here. Opponent's going for their Mathmech Super Factorial now. course, they're going to make the Laplation here, which does have the Omni negate. Getting to draw a couple of cards off Max C, though, is pretty nice. And the Gone Wild still summons the Mean Merciless. Alright, so Laplation activates, sending... Oh, they hit the Takaton Borg. That's perfect. I don't really know why they said the Goblin Biker's Gone Wild. It must just be from a lack of understanding the Goblin Biker deck, but... we don't actually really make rank 6s with the Gone Wild. I think hitting the level 3 would have been a lot better here. Looks like they're going to bounce the level 3, but it can still be specialed, right? Mean Merciless can special itself by detaching a material? Yes, that's what I thought. Okay. We get the special Sploder. Oh, we haven't even normal summoned yet, so we just normal summon Mean Merciless too. Ooh, Ashura King. This card is really cool. I really like Ashura King. This is one of those monsters where I think if it had been released like 2-3 years earlier, it could have been really, really, really good. It's a very, very powerful rank 3 monster, mostly held back by the fact that it needs 3 level 3 monsters, but if you can make it, it's a very, very strong effect. Now, Terahertz is going to negate the battle effect, but it looks like our opponent is still going to concede all the same. Which makes sense if you think about it, because they're out of disruptions. They've already used Terahertz. I think they already used Terahertz. They already used Firewall Dragon. They already did their Mathmech stuff. They have GW... No, they have MTP, not GWC face down, though. Yeah, the MTP does not do enough by itself. They needed that GWC as well. They're out of disruptions, and... Yeah, it definitely makes sense why... Oh, wait, time limit. I just saw the words time limit. So it wasn't even that they surrendered. Although they were getting low on options, but they actually just timed themselves out. Well, sometimes you just play yourself, right? But in any case, thank you very much, Sentiment, as well as everybody else who submitted for this viewer special. Super appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff with Ryziel and the new pack this upcoming week, so definitely look forward to that. But thank you all for watching. That's going to do it for now. So let's move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.